Welcome everyone to Awesome Truth, a wrestling book club. I'm your host, Steve Semino, and with me as always is my co-host, Walt Schwenk. Hey, Walters.
Hello, Steven. How's it going?
My friend, it is going very well. We are back on Awesome Truth, and we are returning to watch-alongs. Well, we're doing an nWo 2-pack of sorts. We already talked to Mark Ramundi, which you heard on this very show, available in our archives, who is writing a book about the nWo. So what we figured, why not watch an nWo match, right? Why not watch maybe not the nWo match, but the beginning of the downfall of the nWo, the most infamous nWo match? Of course, I'm referring to 1997, the main event of Starrcade, Hogan versus Sting.
Yeah, and if you listen to that interview, there was a few fun tidbits and previews that Mark kind of gave from this particular match that we're about to watch.
Yeah.
And so that also intrigued us, like, oh, wow, yeah, we never thought about that, or we never, like, oh, that is an interesting angle or person or booking.
Because it's something we haven't, we've done so much to death on this show over the course of years and years and years, but we've never really talked about this match in a ton of detail, I don't think. So,
no.
And it should have been the biggest match in WCW history, right? Like, it should have been the passing of the torch back to Sting. The nWo, if not vanquished, suffers its first big loss, and everything is getting good again. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but instead, it does not that at all. Things unravel from there, but it's a big deal. It matters, and we're going to talk all about it. It takes place in Washington, D.C., which is where I'm recording right now, which is really weird that they would have a Starrcade in D.C., but, whatever.
It's the closest thing to New York they had, I guess, at the time.
That's right. The southern New York is D.C.
Yeah. Still Mason-Dixon line adjacent.
That's right. It's hot here a lot and humid, so it's south-esque, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's watch Hogan Sting. Well, my time code on Peacock is 02-2045. So 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 45 seconds is the time code. And are you ready, Walt, to watch Hogan Sting?
Yeah, we'll pretend like I'm following on Peacock as well.
Oh, yeah, of course you are. You love the Peacock. You love the Universal NBC company, right?
Yeah, those PLEs,
That's right.
I'll take them all.
All right, everyone, here we go. 3, 2, 1, wrestling. Michael Buffer has just given his intro, so if you want to go back afterwards and watch that, he says, let's get ready to rumble, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. For the 5 millionth time.
But the crowd does go wild, and I do remember as a kid thinking that was a big deal,
Yeah.
So they appealed to 12-year-olds who knew nothing about anything. Because, Michael Buffer, he's a guy I've heard of. He does boxing matches, and now he does Starrcade, so I guess that means this matters.
It did add a level of legitimacy to WCW at a time. Well, at this time they were very legitimate, but back when he was doing this years ago, it bought them some level of like, oh yeah, we matter.
There's the Hulkster looking like $1 million, my boy Terry.
Oh my God.
Coming out first, by the way, interesting choice. The champ comes out first. Hogan comes out first, which if you didn't know how this match ended, you might be like, wow, like some rare humility from Hogan. Who would have thought? But no. He does look great, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy, like, to think that he had this renaissance. Like, this was, like, his second, like, huge, like, money-making run. Like, people don't get one of those.
Yes.
So it's like...
Yeah. It is sort of like, I do think Hollywood Hogan is like not a punchline by any means, but like it is hard to, in 2024, convey to someone who doesn't understand how big a deal it was that this character ever existed, Like, it's just so hacky to say now, but it's true. Like, it's insane that this ever happened at all.
Right.
And that it worked as well as it did.
Yeah. And it worked so well that he didn't want to give up the spot.
He put another death grip on it, and he refused to allow the natural thing to happen.
Yeah.
Which is great and weird.
He's still doing his face stuff, though. It's
yeah.
Like he's not even recognizing that he's, like, supposed to be bad.
I guess now it's the idea is that it's annoying, though. Like, he's just taunting people a little bit.
True.
All right, so context here. For some reason, you're a younger person and you're not aware of this. Sting was in the rafters for basically, a year, and taunting them and hitting them with bats. And this is a real slow burn angle, like a genuinely well done slow burn, where Sting just wanted Hogan, right? And everyone kept saying no for various reasons, and then finally he gets him at this moment.
Right.
Really
the
summarizing
culmination.
a bunch of stuff, but
It was the rare moment of patience in booking decisions in
and
the
they
90s.
kept coming up with reasons, right? Like J.J. Dillon and Ian Bischoff and like everybody just kept saying like he can't get Hogan. I don't really recall why that made any sense, but I remembered the idea just being Sting was not allowed to face Hogan until he was.
I have these like vivid memories of like J.J. Dillon coming out. It's like, Stinger, I have here on this contract a match with you and Six, and everyone's like, "Oh, JJ, no, he wants Hogan."
JJ, I think it's one of your brother's famous bits, isn't it? Doing that?
Yeah, I think so. That's probably where I stole from. But but you look at the calendar. It's like, oh, it's April, and this bit is like starting. It's like, oh, we're probably doing this for another year.
I wonder. I don't remember the tortured logic they would use. Why wouldn't they just give him Hogan? Like, it's just it's so. Is that because Sting? I assume the idea was Sting was like a loose cannon renegade, right?
Right. Why would you give?
They didn't want him to be the
match?
face of WCW, but eventually they had no choice.
Right. Yeah. Because they had Mr. Luger.
They did have Mr.
like
Luger.
a minute.
So the idea here, the scuttlebutt after the fact is that Sting was out of shape, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess he didn't really wrestle a whole lot, did he?
No, and I
Because
think
he
he
kept
admitted to
refusing
that.
matches.
I think in that, what was the Players Tribune article that Sting did at one point? I think he sort of owns up to it to a certain extent, right? That he was in a bad place.
Yeah.
That he wasn't, he was not where he should have been to be. Look at this, I like this little thing they were doing here, the intercutting both guys.
Yeah.
That's a nice little directorial decision.
Was that a cross dissolve?
Yeah, there you go. That looks like what it was. You don't see that very often in wrestling. So in wrestling production.
No, wow, yeah. I mean, they had a whole presentation. They just didn't have a match.
Yes, it was the build was fantastic. The presentation was fantastic. It was at the biggest show. Should have been the biggest Starrcade ever. Like, it's just, it all aligned perfectly, except for what happens in the next 20 minutes.
I'm trying to think of the WWE equivalent of this.
Where they drop the ball this hard.
I mean, I guess you could have said it last year, but maybe not.
If they had ended up fucking it up, right? Or you mean with Roman beating Cody? But then, if they had done Hogan Sting the right way down the line, we'd retroactively would not be that mad. They just never they never fixed it. They couldn't even say like, well, next year we're gonna run it back and do it right. Like, they did not. To give WWE credit, they whether it was the right idea at the time, they turned it into a multi-year story.
That's true. Right. Yeah. It's unfair to compare this. This was such a colossal.
It's such a botch. It's like, I don't give a shit how fat Sting is. Like, you can even have Sting win tonight and lose the next night. Like, it's stupid. People are going to be mad, but you just have Sting win clean on Sunday, and then shenanigans on Monday. Like, why is that so hard?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why this was so hard.
Yeah. Just send everyone home. Send everyone home. Even with like the hint of, we'll see how the match goes, but. Like, and I know, like, that's sort of what they. I don't know. I'm curious to watch it now with fresh eyes and try and figure out what they really hoped might happen, which is probably a total nothing.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Look at us trying to dissect the demise of WCW.
The thing we oft lament and tell people not to do or write about.
Yeah. Right.
Not Mark Ramundi though. Mark Ramundi's allowed to do it, but no one else is.
Well, to be fair, his role is to make the nWo and connect it to influences outside of wrestling, not triple, quadruple analyze financial decisions by Jamie Kellner again.
That's very true.
As entertaining as it was to read that in recent literature, but
Speaking of Guy Evans writing a new Nitro book somehow, I don't know what that's going to be exactly, but. You know what? Well, I think we'll cover that in Awesome Truth.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah,
we have his number.
We do.
Okay.
Sting doesn't look that bad. He doesn't look like. I mean, he's wearing a full bodysuit, but he looks like pretty normal.
You also I always forget how big Hogan is. He towers over Sting.
Yeah,
not
he's
towers.
huge.
It's
He's notably bigger. He's heavier, swoller, taller.
Yeah. Non-roids Hogan.
Yeah. Non-roids, weird, puffy, on something, but maybe not roids.
Right. Well, that leaned out Hogan, he's with the pants. He was doing this for a long time.
Yeah, with the pants and the like sort of fat abs that like are covered up a little bit by the pants. Like it's a very,
Right.
I don't want to say it's an iconic look, but it is a look I think about more than I probably should.
Yeah, the leathery skin.
He's a weird looking man. If he didn't exist already, we would like be so confused by the existence of this person. But then you're like, oh, of course it's Hulk Hogan. That's what he looked like.
Yeah. Right.
But this is like also, there aren't many, like, I mean, Hogan Warrior, and I guess Hogan Savage. There's a couple examples from, a decade ago. But Hogan in the ring is not the best way to end your angle,
That's a good point.
It worked with Andre, and it worked for a couple years in the 80s in very specific scenarios. But in 1997, like, you do not want to watch a 17-minute Hogan match.
No, well, especially, I mean, we did watch that Hogan, the Giant match a few months ago, and it's
which was the most boring shit in the world, right?
Yeah, I'm remembering that experience right about now.
Yeah, there was a time where Sting was a good worker, and like he always good at the fundamentals and stuff, but definitely not. He was not going to carry Hogan to a gem here.
Yeah.
What it really should have been was, like, it's already a weird match. And I think someone has said this in one of the million of things we've read or listened to. The fact that this is becoming, like, a regular wrestling match is already a stupid idea. Because the whole idea is Sting just wants to get his hands on Hogan, right?
Right.
And now they're just, like, doing rest holds, and Hogan's rolling out of the ring. Like, why would this... The intensity needs to be 11 the entire time. It can be a 7-minute match. Like, Sting should just be beating the shit out of him.
Right. Well... You're right. That's what it should have been.
But
instead, it's just like a Hogan romp.
He's taking a powder. He's too sweet in the fans. Yeah. Like it's just an incredibly boring, nothing match. Like it feels like a Nitro match. Like there's no juice all of a sudden.
Right.
Which is crazy.
I'm surprised Hogan didn't have like go away heat at this point. The NWO was just so cool that everyone was kind of okay with this, but like. No one was ever, like, as a fan back then, I was never excited. Oh, he's facing Piper in the cage. I'm like, oh, cool. Another, like, 20 minutes of this bullshit. Like, I was never excited for it. But, like, I guess collectively we're all okay with it because it made sense that Hogan was champion and never lost and whatever.
Because of the aura, right? And the history and everything. Like, it was just like, yeah, he's Hogan. Like, I guess
he's the leader of the NWO, yeah.
Yeah, he's the leader of the NWO. Is he going? So he's going to take another. He's going to the outside again.
Oh, boy.
And now we're going to kill another minute. Let's recap this. So this pay-per-view, for one of their biggest pay-per-views of all time, is pretty stupid. So it opens with Eddie versus Dean for the Cruiserweight title. That's probably a great match. Then we have Savage, Scott Norton, and Vincent versus Big Boss Man / Ray Traylor and the Steiner brothers. So it's the Savage and the two of the biggest losers in the NWO, and they win for some reason. So that's a 6-man to kill some time. Goldberg beats Mongo. Saturn beats Benoit, which is probably pretty good. Buff beats Luger. They give Buff and Luger 17 minutes, which is insane. What is the idea there? DDP beats Hennig for the IC title, and Zbyszko beats Bischoff with Brett as the guest referee. So I guess those are all big matches, but I don't look at those and wonder what happened in many of them.
Yeah, it just feels like another chapter in the NWO saga,
Yeah, it feels like a sold out. It's like everybody in the NWO has their match.
Like, I don't understand how there's not more foresight when you're building to the biggest pay-per-view of the year, where it's like, hey, maybe we start this like grudge match like a few months earlier. It's like it just felt like, oh, what's the culmination of this month's set of Nitros? Like Buff and Luger, why was that ever a culmination of anything?
It's the longest match on the card.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how those guys could go 16 minutes. What's the moveset between both of them? Like 12 moves?
Well, I mean, Buff was always before he's Buff. This is American males. I think they were all right.
That's true. Right? In the Scotty Riggs era, I think Buff could work a little bit, but I don't think once he became Buff, I don't think that was really what people wanted.
No. I mean, he was great as Buff, but like,
He was great
maybe
wearing
not-
the big hat and doing the weird strut.
yeah,
But,
being Steiner's like 2,
yeah, yeah.
which is funny that Steiner wasn't NWO back then.
Yeah, he was just Scott Steiner. He was teaming with Big Boss Man. Sting with the duck and then go down anyway.
Yeah,
This is so boring. Oh my god.
yeah,
Sting looks like shit. Like he doesn't look like he's performing. The Sting character it looks like a total goober who barely deserves to be in the ring with Hogan right now.
yeah. I mean, I guess there has to be. Oh wow! Oh, he got right up.
Oh, is he doing? Oh, is that his like Taker moment?
Maybe.
Oh, did he do a crotch chop?
Did he?
I think Sting.
I see a bunch of punches.
I thought Sting did a little crotch chop for a second there.
This fucking match.
It's only 12 minutes long too, so we're not going to suffer through much. I thought they tried to make this into 20, but
Well,
like look at the fans, like look at them all just sitting there, like
yeah.
they're just sitting for the main event of Starrcade, like
Right.
for the hottest angle in the last at least calendar year, and everyone's just sitting there watching a bad match.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like they just wanted to see Sting win the title.
Yeah, that probably was the case. Well, like, yeah, we maybe the smarter fans among them were probably like, well, yeah, this might not be barn burner, but also why didn't Hogan get DQ'd for that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. There's also no one's ringside. That's interesting.
Yeah, where's Horace? I guess Horace wasn't even around yet, was he?
No.
And Mr. Luger is still WCW, I assume, then, right?
Oh, there's no Wolfpack at this point.
Yeah, so he had to be. Because that's just to prolong, the inevitable, right? Like not to tell a friend of the show, Chris Holcomb, that the Wolfpack was, a marketing gimmick to just extend a dying angle, but
Oh, hook, line, and sinker.
That's right.
Here's all my money. Oh god, that was so weak. That Irish whip.
That's so bad. Hogan can't even. I think I'm like a second behind you. Hogan can't even.
Oh.
No, it's oh. See, Sting, of course, the Stinger Splash. He looks like he actually took it on the ribs.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to do in a title match. The only thing, the long version of this, we've talked about this a bunch on the show. I feel like H reigns at that one Mania that we did. I think that was the one with the women's three-way that we just talked about. That's like a match that's twice this long and equally as boring, I would say, and equally as juiceless.
Can we vow never to do that match?
No, I don't even want to think about it, but it is just I feel like it is another very ill-informed decision to have that be the main event, to have that be the culmination of a year's angles is to an older guy who was already not super dynamic in the ring. Sorry, again, Chris Holcomb in Triple H. And then a guy who the fans were just super not interested in at that point, and just giving them 25 minutes to muddle was a bad idea.
God. I mean, I don't think Sting looks that bad and out of shape here.
No, I don't think so either. He doesn't look. Does he not? Is he not shredded? Like possibly, I can't tell. His arms don't look huge, but again, that's not a reason to, unless Sting shows up Jeff Hardy level like fucked up. I don't see how you don't go with the obvious ending to this angle.
Right. I mean, it's not like you need to be in like tip top shape to, you're gonna really blow up taking a back rake.
Yeah, in a Hogan match.
Yeah. Why are we so precious about like cardio and like in physical prowess here? Like.
The one thing you can say about Mania, and this is not every year, but it's most years, they understand that it's the end of the year, and they give you the ending that is appropriate for that match.
We're about to see.
Is this it?
The first.
Okay, let me watch closely. Let's get our like Zapruder film magnifying glasses out. All right, Hogan leg drop, finishing move. 1, 2, 3. The cleanest. Bret Hart comes out of nowhere. 1-2 Bret Hart.
Yeah.
So Hogan beats him clean. 1, 2, 3. With his finishing move, Sting did no pushback whatsoever there. Even like if the count had been fast or slow, Sting takes the boot and the leg drop like it's a regular match.
Right.
And then lays on his back 1, 2, 3. The count is extremely normal. Bret Hart comes out and attacks St. Patrick for his normal count. The fans are confused. Bret gets Hogan.
But here's the thing: if for a Faust count, he didn't kick out.
Yeah, he didn't do any of the above. Okay, the fans are getting excited again now, which maybe it does speak to the post. Like the fans probably also don't. They probably didn't even see the count. You know, they're probably just like trusting everything that's going on. Oh, here comes the gang.
Oh, so Bret couldn't wrestle here, so he had to just literally stand there
and let Sting beat them all.
Yeah.
Was that because of his contract? Like he still was.
Yeah, I think so.
He could stand in a wrestling ring, but he couldn't wrestle.
He could be a referee, but not.
Yeah, even though he's not the referee, he refereed the previous match.
Does everybody think that? Does everybody just understand what's happening here, though?
I think they just are trusting whatever, like that. This is like a thing they've seen, and they didn't. I'm sure they missed the tomfoolery of that one thing because it was so stupid. You know? Oh, there it is, Bret Hart. It's over. Sting's your winner. Okay, so Sting gets a win. The fans in the crowd perked up. I think you nailed it. They wanted to see Sting win the belt. When it became clear that's what they were going to do, there's Mr. Luger. They got excited for this. There's that Luis Piccoli.
Yep.
Wow. R.I.P. Let's see. Let's name these other Motley Crue. There's Big Show. There's Chavo. No, is that Rocco Rock?
That's Rocco Rock. Yeah.
Why is Rocco Rock like the fifth guy?
Why is Mortis out there?
Yeah, LaParca's out there with his mask on. It's all like the guys who have no. There's Wrath.
There's a lot of like.
There's a luchador. I can't tell which luchador that is. It might be Hoovy.
Yeah. So there's La Parca.
Yeah, there's Booker T or Stevie Ray in the back. Ray's on someone's shoulders.
Why were they out of like costume? Like it's so I can't tell who these people are.
They probably they put their civilian clothes back on. So they did the right thing in the moment in terms of I think if you're watching in the stadium. Because all you saw was some weird Hogan bullshit, and then Bret Hart said no, no, no. And you probably were like, okay, Bret Hart said no, no, no. Like, that must have been, tomfoolery. Yeah. And now Sting won, which is all they wanted. But then the next night, correct me if I'm wrong, they strip Hogan of the belt, and they strip Sting of the belt and give it just back to Hogan?
But no, I think they just vacate it, right?
Okay, and do they do a tournament?
I think they just did a 4-way.
Oh, let's look at that. That's something we need to figure out. So they did the right thing. They sort of did the right thing in the moment. Except they didn't because they instantly undo it, and it's stupid.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Oh, there was a rematch the next night. And
did Sting win?
And Patrick, again, did the thing, but I think Patrick did our actual fast count the next night. Then Randy Anderson came out and restarted the match. And then they vacated the title, and Sting regained the title in a match at Super Brawl 8, Super Brawl Saturday.
Wow.
Sting beat Hogan again at Super Brawl. So that's actually the main issue. Probably is they botched this. They botched this in a way that they didn't actually botch it the night of. How they handled it from that point forward was a massive botch, though. You know.
No, all of this is a botch. Everything we just watched was a huge botch.
What should have happened was Sting just wins the fucking match. Like that's by regular moves. Hogan doesn't fucking do a leg drop on him for no reason and pin him clean for no reason. Why? Like the fact that was part of the match at all is insane. Sting should have kicked out at 1. You know?
Yeah, I mean they should have treated this like Goldberg Hogan.
Yeah. That would have been great. I mean, they did it right, a year later? But
yeah, right. At the wrong time, but we're not going to dissect that here.
Well, my takeaway from that was this is just like this is indicative of probably the worst thing about WCW is that it was death by a million cuts, you know? Like as all these books will tell you, it's not just one big decision and the company tanks. Like they just slowly fuck everything up over the course of months, and then they compound the mistakes over and over again, and then by the end, it's just a husk.
Yeah, I'm sure it's accurate.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Very anticlimactic.
No notes.
One of the biggest matches of all time, and we could barely find something to say afterwards. So
yeah. Welp.
Yep. Also, Scott Hall is not on that card for some reason. Rey Mysterio is not on the card. Harlem Heat's not on the card. But Boss Man is, Mongo is, Larry Zbyszko is, etc. Vincent is.
Eric Bischoff made it on as a wrestler.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff made it on against Larry Zbyszko, and they got 11 minutes. So, and Zbyszko won by DQ. So,
after all that, no one gets their comeuppance. Yeah,
a very bad pay-per-view, but the NWO was cool. Like you said, the reason that this all happens the way it happens is because the NWO is so cool and so pervasive and so successful that no one can decide on the right time to kill it. And really, they never kill it. And, we go on and on like this for a long time. So Mark Raymundy's book, I imagine, is going to talk all about this in detail. So obviously another plug for that one when it comes out. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on that. And do not watch this match or any other Hogan match involving the NWO because I think you'll be disappointed.
Yeah. Death of the NWO after this sentence.
That's right. If you want to hear more about Hulk Hogan, the NWO, and various topics touched on this episode, you can hear all of our old episodes in our archives, awesometruth.libsyn.com. You can also subscribe to us for new episodes and old ones, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are delivered, we are there. Well, it was great to talk WCW, NWO with you. I think we can put this one back in the drawer for a little while, but it was a very successful NWO 2-pack. So we dipped our toe in, and now we move back on.
Yeah. Now back to WWE.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mania documentary that no one liked. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, probably that, though.
Probably that. That's why you got to subscribe, though, because you got to find out what we're doing next. It's always a mystery.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all so much for listening. And remember, the truth will set you free.